Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. This is the preview episode for the Bournemouth away game this weekend. I'm FPL Nima. I'm joined by my co-host Clayton. How are you, mate?
Doing good. Off the back of 2 wins, ready for hopefully the third one, and looking forward to doing a little preview for the Bournemouth game. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I think it's nice that we've gone post-presser this time. There was some nice comments that we can cover around the boys who took part in the Under-21 Cup game and their readiness as well, which is nice for squad depth. But let's just say hi to a couple of people. So we got Bobby's already here in the chat. Good to see you, Bobby, mate.
It's Bobby's birthday on Sunday, so A, happy birthday in advance, and B, hopefully you've got 3 points as a present.
Happy birthday, and make sure that next time I'm online, I want you to carry me in COD, mate. I need a victory. I've been losing ever since the last time I played with you, so please. William as well. Good to see you, William, mate.
Hey,
nice
William.
to see you. And we'll give some shout outs as more people jump into the live. I know we've gone 15 minutes earlier than we said, but it is what it is. So
trying to multitask with work, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Fitting it in the lunch break, but post presser at the same time. So this is the predicted lineup versus Bournemouth. I think from next week on in game week 4, we may put 2 of these, one from each of us, because for now we're both in agreement about the lineup staying the same as the first 2 wins. But with the players coming back and potential new signings coming in, I'm not convinced it's going to stay the same. I'm sure Arteta will rotate based on some opposition.
Yeah, I guess if for anyone on the podcast they can't see it, it's Ramsdale in goal. Back 4 of White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. Midfield 3, Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, and then front 3, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. But just echo what you say, really. It'll be interesting to see going forward from next week. Because one thing that I noticed is from game week 4, the Fulham game at home, we've got 3 games in 7 days, consisting of Fulham at home, Aston Villa that midweek at home, and then Man United away. And that's one thing I want to keep an eye on, because obviously 3 games in 7 days, I think that's where we'll see slight rotation. Perhaps Tomiyasu getting another sub appearance tomorrow to get him sort of 100% match fit ahead of that run. That's one thing to keep an eye out on.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I think a lot of people are thrown by the Tuesday game week 5 midweek. That's going to be interesting for a lot of teams, especially with our fullbacks. I can't see them kind of starting 3 games in 7 days. So we might start to see that rotation coming in.
And even it's good timing. I think you touched on it. Arteta said in his presser, obviously, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Cedric, all played midweek for the under-21s. That's good to have specifically Vieira and Smith Rowe back. I know Smith Rowe, was he in the squad last weekend? Yeah, he was, right?
So I think
having Vieira there, as well.
because he came on, didn't he, for Saka rather than for Martinelli?
Yeah. So it's just good. The squad's shaping up. Obviously, we've got a busy week from next Saturday. So shaping up nicely. Seen William ask in the chat, outside chance of Tomiyasu starting. There's absolutely an outside chance. I think we've both personally gone with the same lineup again. My personal opinion is, I think, like I said, he'll get a sub appearance, get him some more minutes, and then ease him in a home game ahead of that run. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. Like, if we think that he probably wants Tomiyasu to start against United away from home, it would make sense to give him that first start at home in game week 4, maybe some minutes off the bench this weekend, and also in game week 5 against Villa midweek at home, so that he's then fully ready and not got a chance of re-injury. But I wouldn't be completely surprised if he started ahead of White this weekend or ahead of Saliba this weekend. Like, any one of those two could make way for him. But I'm just convinced that we're not going to change something that's working and where we're winning. Where the change will come, it will be enforced because of the number of games in the short period of time.
Yeah, agree. Although saying that, excuse me, if there was a season where Arteta throws a few surprises, I think because of the quality of options we've got now, that there'll be a few surprises in the odd game where we don't see it coming.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Let's go into a few more bits. We've got some graphics we want to look at as well for the match. We've got the Bournemouth lineup against City last week, which is just worth having a quick look at as well for the podcast listeners. So this was with Travers in goal, a back 3 of Kelly, Lerma, Metham. And then you've got Stacey and Smith as the wing backs with Cook and Pearson in midfield, and then a front 3 of Christie, Moore, and Tavernier. So this team was in a 3-4-2-1. They obviously lost 4-0 away from home. One thing that Arteta has said in the presser already about Bournemouth is that he's expecting it to be a very rowdy and lively stadium and environment. I think we've seen with the promoted teams, their home games, especially at the start of the season, they have all the energy from the fans behind them, and they
I
look
don't think
great.
it'll be rowdy. Bournemouth are very middle class. I don't. I don't think it'll be rowdy.
Maybe he's giving them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Mind games, you could say. But they did very well in the first week against Villa. They obviously kept the clean sheet. They won 2-0. I think against City, which is probably more in line with how we're going to play compared to Villa, I don't really see much going on for them. I think we have a very good chance of a clean sheet here as well, even though it's away from home. But
Yeah. The only thing to add to this is obviously Solanke was missing.
Yes.
There's rumours that he's got an outside chance, and he's likely. He's got an outside chance of being back. And one thing that caught a lot of people out for Bournemouth against, who was their first game? It was Aston Villa. Right?
Yeah.
So one thing that caught a lot of people out was Solanke wasn't playing as like an out-and-out number 9. He was actually playing as like a bit of a number 10, slightly out wide. So if he does come back in, that's one to keep an eye on, because I guess that's like from the front, a defensive point of view for them. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on. But this is the first game going into it with the respect to Bournemouth that I'm thinking purely how can Arsenal impose themselves rather than what's the threat of the opposition, because I think we've had that with Zaha, James Justin, and obviously other players Leicester had that could hurt us. So this is the first game going into it and just hoping that Arsenal play the game that tactically we want to and just kind of impose ourselves as that big top team. I'm hoping anyway, but yeah.
There'll be a lot of questions asked if we don't win this game. I think we want to be looking at 9 points on the board with the 2 promoted teams coming up, and then some slightly tougher fixtures perhaps against Villa and Man United afterwards. But before we go into the next section, I just want to give a quick shout out to a few more people who've snuck into the live chat. So Rubber Ducky's here as well. Good to see you, mate. The Quack is back. If you do find today's preview helpful, guys, please do hit that like button. We're almost at kind of the 100 subscribers that we need to have a custom channel URL. So would love to get your support and help us get to 100 subs. I think we're at 81 now, so almost there. I will answer the questions from you, Bobby, about United. Don't worry, but let's look at Bournemouth first. And good to see you, Freyo goal. We will talk a little bit about Saka as well, for sure. So just something I want to say on Saka. So any chance Saka will score well this game week. So my view is that we've been building really well from the left wing, and that triangle of kind of Zinchenko, Martinelli, and Xhaka has been performing well. What we've seen is that right wing of Saka is actually contributed to success on the left wing too. So whenever the ball's on the right wing, that's when you're seeing the space for Xhaka to run into the box too. So even when the ball isn't being progressed from the left and it's being progressed on Saka's wing, we're still seeing it benefit the left. With that in mind, last year we were so reliant on the right wing and Saka. I think people were underprepared to face our left wing this year. And now teams will start to probably put a bit more attention towards it. So I would not be surprised to see that someone like Saka will have a bit more freedom and ability to kind of dictate games again, because as people shift to the left to Martinelli and Zinchenko, Saka should hopefully not be as wide. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Clayton, but essentially, so I was just going to say the essential summary for me is like I've just been seeing Saka collect the ball very wide, like on the touchline. And then he's got kind of 2-3 players to beat, basically. So I think he's doing better than people said. Like, he forced that cross that became an own goal in the first week. He had a shot that was saved last week, which, Jesus missed the rebound. Like, he's been in the right places, but we've just not been as reliant on the entire play going through his side. I think as teams now focus on the left, it should mean that we see the Saka of last season back a bit more.
Yeah, I just echo what you say, really. And the only thing I'd add to that is he had specific instructions out of possession to do more defensive work in the first 2 games and help Ben White. And obviously, game week 1, understandable. It was Zaha, one of the trickiest 1v1 wingers in the league.
We saw it last week, right? By the way, like
exactly,
what he did to Liverpool.
Exactly. So that all that did for me was echo. Like Ben White did a really good job. But anyway, that's going off on a tangent. So just echo what you say about Saka, and I think he'll have less defensive responsibility in this game. Like we just touched on, game week 1 was Zaha. Game week 2 was James Justin, who's a really fast, powerful wingback. And Saka did a good job of helping to nullify that threat. Like I said, this, in my opinion, is the first game that Arsenal can go into and not completely ignore Bournemouth, because they have got their own threat within their own right. But it's a game where I'm hoping Arsenal just go and impose themselves. And there's, in a couple of slides' time, a few things I want to talk about tactically that I think will actually benefit Saka. But I just think going into the game, like you said, we consciously build up from the left. I think the overloading on the left with the quick switch out to the right will be on quite a bit tomorrow. And I think, yeah, Saka was involved. He was in good spaces. He was in good areas. It's just the output didn't come, and defensively had a bit more to do, which I don't think he will have as much defensively to do tomorrow. So yeah, maybe we can touch on a bit of the tactical side in a second.
Yeah, let me put up so I've got the kind of the heat maps from Fantasy Football Scout as well, just to give them some credit that I'm going to pull up for you. I know you wanted to talk through some of these on the show, so I'll let you kind of lead this section.
Yeah, sure. So I won't go into too much detail, but obviously, so Bournemouth so far have played Aston Villa at home. Great result for them. And then second week they played Man City, so best team in the league. And conscious, get the caveats in. 2 weeks worth of data, right? So pinch of salt and all of that. But I think there's a lot of value to be had looking at how Man City approached the game against Bournemouth, because although it was at home, it was at the Etihad. How I always talk about big pitches, stylistically, structurally, and tactically. I'm not saying we're as good as City, but we're probably the most similar team to them, right? And I think there's a lot of information to be learned about how we might approach the game and where we could potentially hurt Bournemouth. So the graphic on the left is City's kind of average touch map. Not going to go into too much detail on that. It kind of speaks to itself, and people on the podcast, you know how City line up anyway. What I really want to focus on is the graphics in the middle and on the right. So the one in the middle is Bournemouth's average touch map, and the graphic on the right is City's heat map as a team. So the one thing I want to start on is the heat map on the right, and just look at how much Man City were overloading and attacking down that left-hand side. Where have Arsenal been fantastic so far? That left-hand side, right? Zinchenko, Martinelli, bits of Xhaka, Jesus. So I think we're going to see that theme again of us overloading that left-hand side. And then what I want people to do is just have a quick look in the middle. So structurally, look at Bournemouth. Look at that, the way they're drawn to the overloads on both sides. So City structurally, they're elite, right? At how they positionally move people around the pitch. And look how it affected Bournemouth. Look at the space in the middle of the pitch. And why I think this is important to look at is how we're, I think, going to approach the game. Is we're going to look to try and dominate that left-hand side as well. I really think we are. And where I think it will be different this week, and specifically thinking someone like Saka, that overload, like I mentioned, we've been overloading on the left, but I think the quick outball to the right will be on this time, because Saka will be in higher positions because of he doesn't have that defensive responsibility, like I mentioned, he's had in the previous 2 games. A couple of other stats. Before I go on to the stats, the other thing I want to mention is, like I said, look at that space that's vacated in the middle. What I'm thinking there is crosses and second balls. People like Xhaka running in, Odegaard on the edge. Zinchenko, I know he's a left back, but we've spoken about it. He's everywhere. I want to see Arsenal players pouncing on the edge of that box. And I want to see Partey take more control of the game tomorrow. I think if we overload the wings, like I'm hoping we will see, and it's what City did, that space in the middle for the top technicians like Partey, Odegaard, it should be available for them to kind of dictate the whole game. And then also just look at the depth. The Bournemouth line was pinned right back. We did that against Leicester, right? I'm conscious, I know it's away from home, and I always talk about it's easier to do it at home, but we've got the technical level in the team to be able to do this, in my opinion, away from home as well. So I really want to see us pin them back and just dictate the game to them. The next thing I want to touch on is just a couple of statistics. So again, caveat, 2 game weeks worth of data, so pinch of salt and all of that. But so far, Bournemouth have conceded the most amount of crosses from their left-hand side, 39. Second is Forest with 26. That's 39 crosses conceded from their left-hand side. And this is why I think Ben White's going to play. I'm thinking, so think of Man City, that right-hand half space, it's always the likes of De Bruyne whipping in crosses, right? Bournemouth's left-hand side is going to be the likes of Saka, Odegaard dropping in there, Ben White. And I think those people crossing, great assist potential. Who's going to be in the box? You're going to get Xhaka running in. You're going to have Martinelli in there. Jesus loves that run to the back post. So I think that's a matchup to look out for. The second one, which kind of ties into that point there, so that's the amount of crosses conceded from their left-hand side, chances conceded from their right-hand side. So our left attack, which is our strong point at the moment, Bournemouth are second in conceding 11. Forest were top with 16. So again, I think the potential matchup and the ability that we have to hopefully dictate the quality and tempo in the middle of the pitch, overload the wide areas, get crosses in from Bournemouth's weak sides. I think we can do a lot of damage. And just tying it back to, I guess, FPL, I think Saka, I think all of the midfield and attack are going to be in for a fun afternoon if they're technically at their level that we know we're capable of.
Yeah, awesome. I just want to, so just to add to this statistical conversation, what I have is from obviously my channel Net That Whore is FPL Lenses analysis I used last week for his net XG metric. I won't spend too long on it. He's done like a mini matchup that you can find on the channel, and they covered it in the Game Week 3 show. But the key things I wanted to call out is that the net XG model had kind of Arsenal scoring 1.77 goals and Bournemouth 1.08. So the net XG prediction is really like 1-0 to Arsenal. Okay. Lens himself is predicting 3-0. We'll get to my prediction for the game too, but I'm also predicting a clean sheet for us. So Bournemouth, when you look at the kind of chances here, essentially they kind of only conceded 2 big chances so far, but they've let in 4 goals. And then on the flip side, they've had 1 big chance which they didn't score. They also have the fewest shots on target with 4, but they've somehow scored 2 goals against Villa, as we know. And despite the 2 goals they have, their expected metrics are a 0.72 expected goals non-penalty. So I think they're definitely, like, as we say, small sample size, 2 games, etc. But it is like, you know, they have overperformed. I think Villa just weren't tactically astute. They tried a new system, which they abandoned after 1 week. Now, Arsenal, on the flip side, we're actually currently tied with Liverpool for the most big chances so far with 7. And we've only conceded 1 chance from the right. So, you know, that's quite impressive considering that White has been filling in there against people like Zaha and James Justin. We also have the second most shots in the box with 23. We have the joint most shots in the 6 with 5. And there's only been 4 shots on target conceded. So perhaps that's why we've not been seeing the save points from Ramsdale that we saw in prior years, where last year he was in the bonus because of the amount of saves he had to make. We're currently first for XG non-penalty as well with 3.95, which is pretty cool. So I think his tactical focus, just to finalize this section, he says, kind of building on what you mentioned earlier, like Arsenal are going to try and stretch Bournemouth's back 5 with wide possession triangles, similar to Man City and what they did in that game. So Saka, Odegaard, Jesus on the right, Zinchenko, Martinelli, Jesus on the left. And this could, what he said, which is quite interesting, is not many people talk about Odegaard, but he says that this could open up space for Odegaard to curl in some decent efforts from range. So we might see, in the way that Xhaka has been left to run in on the left in the last few games, it might be that actually on the right we have the opportunity for the likes of Saka and Odegaard to come into play more this time round. So let's go to score predictions then. So my prediction is 2-0 for this one.
Okay.
Obviously, we've done 2 predictions so far. We've both got the win right. I got the first fixtures score right, but not the second one. You're still waiting to get your first score right, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm hoping it comes tomorrow. I'm going 3-0 to the Arsenal.
Okay.
I sound very arrogant today, and it's not that. I have so much faith in us as a team. Obviously, Bournemouth can hurt us. Like every team in the Premier League can do that. Get the old cliche in, but yeah, I just have so much faith with us, and I think if we execute our game plan, like I know we can, I'm going 3-0. And I know we did. We're not tracking this, but we did this last week. Do you want to go scorers?
Yeah, let's do. I think scorers was fun. I think I got the Jesus brace and Martinelli goal.
Oh yeah, you did actually. Yeah, that's why we're not tracking it.
yeah. And in the first week, I said Jesus and Martinelli as well, but obviously Jesus didn't score. So scorers. The thing is, I really want to say 3-0 now. I have a feeling we might batter them, but I'm going to stick with my 2-0 prediction. I don't want to have the same prediction as you. My 2 scorers. I'm convinced Jesus scores again, and I'm not sure like if Martinelli does. Okay, let's flip it around. I'm going to go with Martinelli goal and Jesus 2 assists and the second goal scorer to be Saka.
Nice. Okay. I've got the attacking triple up in FPL, so I would love that. I think each of the front 3 are scoring 1 tomorrow. I think Saka, Jesus and Martinelli. Assists, God knows. But yeah, I'm going 3-0 to the Arsenal, and the front 3 are all taking a piece.
Cool. Let's go to any questions in the chat before we leave. Obviously, it's a quick bite-sized preview pod just after the presser. I'm just going through. We answered the Saka comment, I think, quite well for Freyo girl earlier. We discussed the outside chance of the Tomiyasu start for William. I think Ducky's asked about like, will Ben White start as well? So I think it's a similar question, just the
Was that
opposite side
Ben
of
White
it.
for tomorrow or just
For this
Oh,
weekend,
I've just
I
seen you
think,
put
yeah.
the question up. Yeah, it's all
so
opinions, isn't it? We've both said yes, but I think keep an eye on is it Jump the Wave or Jump? Yeah,
it is, yeah. Jump
Emma.
the wave. So Emma,
Like her hive mind prediction of all of the Arsenal accounts will be coming up around 4:30. So keep an eye on that, because obviously it's just mine and Nima's opinion on here.
yeah. So I'm still convinced Ben White starts. Just to give more weight, I don't know if Ducky was here when I spoke about it before. I'll give a bit more context. So I think we're going to want to have Tomiyasu start away at United, and with 3 games in 7 days between game week 4 and 6, I have a feeling this away game he might get minutes off the bench. Start game week 4 at home to give him some more minutes, and then midweek is game week 5, and I think he might again play off the bench for some minutes, and then game week 6 start against United. So whether it's White or Saliba that gets dropped, or whether Gabriel gets dropped and we don't play with a left-footed centre-back, that's to be seen. But there is definitely rotation imminent. I think this is the last week where we can safely say that he's not going to change a winning team and he's going to play all 3.
I think so. And the other thing, I actually think Ben White will be chosen on merit for this game, is because you know what I said about that, the sort of crosses conceded from Bournemouth's left. I think Ben White in that little half space area has got a better delivery into the box than Tomiyasu does. Not to undermine Tomiyasu, it's just different skill sets and the variety we've got. But it'll be really interesting going forward, because in the immediate term, I think Ben White, obviously it will be performance dependent, but I think Ben White is the most susceptible one to getting dropped at the moment. But long term, I know left-footed centre-back FC, I think the preferred partnership is going to be Saliba White long term. I think it will take a while to get there, but I think that's what we're going to
think Bobby thinks this as well for the best pairing for building up from back. I think I can definitely see that happening.
I agree,
but maybe not instantly. Just
Yeah.
any final questions before we go? So William asked, what threat does Bournemouth have if Solanke is out? So I'll put back the lineup they had last week. Obviously Solanke wasn't playing there against City. Do you want to make your point that you said about Solanke before, in case he wasn't here?
Yeah, so I should have checked the press. I saw on like different forums and stuff that he's got an outside chance of being back in the team. And one thing that caught people out by surprise in game week 1 against Villa was he wasn't playing as the out and out number 9. He was playing in like the pockets on the wing a little bit. And I think if he's back, obviously we know his threat, but if he's not, I think Bournemouth will kind of park the bus, to be honest, and look to hit us on the counter. So I think we might see that 2-3-5 we implemented against Sevilla a little bit tomorrow, because of the spaces that we talked about in the how things opened up against City and how they built up. So I think we might see that a little bit, and hopefully that sort of proactively nullifies Bournemouth as well.
So I just want to say a quick shout out to FPL Manager and answer his question. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm sorry that you're getting like, I don't know, like your eyes must be bleeding with all this, right? I do, like, obviously we have some FPL players who tune in who aren't necessarily like Arsenal fans. We really appreciate the support and helping us grow the channel. Hopefully you find this content useful. Once I can eventually learn some more graphic design skills, I will look at some templates where we have like the black and gold or some other color schemes, because our designer himself, I don't think he wants to talk to Clayton anymore, despite Clayton being his best man at the wedding next year, because your designer's a Spurs fan, right? And he must have spent countless hours. Yeah, I'm glad he did it for us, but my God, he must have felt
had to do a genuine good job as well. Like he didn't sabotage it or nothing. I'm thought he was expecting there to be like a little COYS somewhere that we can't see, but
it must be in there. Like he's like put it down and we just can't see it unless we zoom in. So he says, when is Zinchenko going to score? So it's a good question. If there's anyone he's going to score against, surely it's going to be this match that we said, where we saw like in the heat maps, just like how poor these guys were on their left side.
Man. Yeah.
So that's a City's attack building up on the left, and they're just, the heat map is all over the left-hand side, which is where we've been dominating for the first 2 games. So I would think this would be the game, if ever. But then I also, again, worry what happens with Tierney. So on that note, let's just quickly talk about Tierney. So FPL Sandwich Podcast, he brings this up. I won't do any spoilers for the All or Nothing, but I'm only just getting to the end of episode 7 now. And like, I just couldn't believe it. They essentially said like he hyperextended his knee, Tierney, in a match. I think against Wolves.
5
games and didn't tell anyone. And then eventually, like, he came out the showers and like took a right turn or something around the corner and his knee went, and then he was out for the season. So I don't know, man. Like he's ready to play, but like I honestly think we're only going to start him in like
just keep him away from the shower. That's fine.
Yeah, like that is just grim. Then there
Let's
was
have
the
a bath.
injury. There was the injury as well, wasn't there? Playing for the bloody Scotland team in a friendly. Like I just don't know why Arsenal, Scotland, or Tierney do this to himself. I hope that I just hope that he like focuses on availability this season, because I honestly worry that Arteta will move him on next year if he does not start to be a bit more available throughout the season.
I think for this season, we've got that luxury that we can kind of manage his minutes with a lot more confidence because of who's available in that position, which we didn't have last year. But just going back to the FPL manager, Remy's point on Zinchenko's scoring, like, obviously God knows, because like it's so hard to predict defender scoring. But all I'd say is just, if you watch our games, that the guy is everywhere, and not just everywhere in terms of central zones and so, like in the final third. So in terms, he's like a B-Tech Cancelo for us. So I wouldn't be concerned.
Yeah, no, I've really I've been so impressed by what I've seen. Like, I don't know if anyone's seen this, but go check Arsenal's training footage of them trying to do a keepy uppy challenge, and they got to run across the whole pitch. And if they don't, the last one has to like bring in breakfast for everyone the next day, and like if they drop the ball, they have to start again. And you kind of see the team doing keepy uppies. It looks all well and good, and then out of nowhere, you just see Zinchenko flying down the pitch like, I don't know how many strides ahead of everyone else he was, but honestly, like,
he just
those techers were insane. Yeah, like
a few of the players were looking sus though.
Oh my god! I think it was it Turner and Gabriel.
Gabriel,
yeah, the centre back. They dropped the ball and had to go back. But cool. So just a few more shout outs to some of the people who tuned in, and then we'll get us out of here at 27 minutes. So, seeing if there's anyone we missed who's tuned in. So Bliss is here from South Korea. Lots of Gunners there. Come on, you Gunners. And thank you for not supporting Heung-min Son. Sorry, Remy. But a lot of Koreans go that way. So it's nice to find a South Korean who's a Guna. Who else we have? We've got IBK's apparently here. I don't know where he is, but Mike Halpin's here as well. Good to see you, mate. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in live on short notice. Arsenal for life as well. What's up, mate? Good to see you. We will go again on probably Sunday or Monday after the match and just do a quick review of it, which is in a bit more detail with some stats and eye test. And then we'll just continue this model of kind of doing a short preview before each match, post presser, a review after each match as well. We'll have an FPL segment in the reviews as well. So we did one earlier. So if you still haven't seen the Leicester review, it should still be good content. It's definitely like not got a shelf life. Go back and check that out. We've hit 19 live viewers concurrently. There's like a record for the channel. So really appreciate all the love, guys. Keep supporting us. Help us get to the 100 subs so we can have a custom channel URL. And otherwise, good luck in game week 3, is it? Yeah, game week 3 in FPL. Yep. And Clayton and I will be back for the review of the Bournemouth match and hopefully 9 points on the table. So hit that like if you found it helpful. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And drop us a tweet using the links in the description, and we will be able to chat all things Arsenal and FPL in between the episodes. But other than that, up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. We'll see you for the next one.